I will finish with one question regarding nature and the importance that it has. So how do we feel we can connect with nature through living heritage, such as yoga or meditation? And since we saw that the 21st of June is also a very symbolic date linked to nature, could you tell us why we will be also connected with nature when we will do this meditation?
One part of the question is, why is it 21st June? As already Vishal was saying, this is the solstice. What solstice means is, in Earth's spin, it's a little bit of a tilt. In that process, how much exposure northern hemisphere is getting towards the sun, reaching its peak today, from now on it'll start receding. Because sun's relationship with the planet begins to shift on this day. When such a major happening happens, we, who are just a product of this earth, just the soil is sitting here as my body and your body. Things happen within our system too. Today, unfortunately, we have come to number systems, 31 days is a month and this and that. We have forgotten when is it full moon, when is it new moon, when is it solstice, what is happening, when is different shifts that are happening in the planet, completely unaware. For that there is a price. Every other life is aware of this. The smallest creatures are aware of this. You must see, just go sit in a forest and watch how the ants behave on a full moon night. They're very different on that day. On new moon day, they behave differently. If you pay attention, every life, plant life especially knows this very well in Ayurveda, there's a whole thing of if you pluck a leaf on which day of the month, how it behaves in your body. But human beings, the most intelligent, have no clue about this. This just gets demonstrated in stark ways. When the tsunami struck southern India, we were the first to be there because we had 23 medical vans. Immediately I said, everybody drive there. And I also went. When we went there, one aspect of it is, there are so many dead bodies, people, all volunteers trying to help with all this shifting and doing things and giving vaccinations to people and all this. What I noticed was, none of the livestock was dead except those who were tied down in the homes. No dead fish or 100-foot wave. Millions of fish should be dead. No fish dead. No animals dead, not even a donkey dead. But human beings died. Everybody knew the wave is coming. The most intelligent species on the planet had no clue. Something is missing in our lives. What is missing is, we have no attention for anything. Because right from the day you went to school, where did you go to school? Here, in France?
Yes.
Okay. The day you went to kindergarten school, from that day, they only started rewarding your memory. If you read a textbook, that silly textbook, you read it and puke it on the examination paper, they'll say you're very smart. Nobody gave you any marks for your attention. I simply paid attention to the teacher, I knew their past, present and future, but they didn't give me any marks for that. The moment you value memory and not human attention, you close doors upon yourself. You're in an old soup, cooking yourself up with old soup, endlessly going on, the same old soup. So this is the issue, this is the fundamental issue, that on a summer solstice, there are significant changes happening to the world, to the planet, especially northern hemisphere. In the winter solstice, because we are majority in northern hemisphere, we are calling it that way. Southern hemisphere will call that as summer solstice, of course. Changes are happening there much more. So on this day, shift happens, every yogi looks inward and makes the necessary little tuning, adjustment within himself or herself, because otherwise you will be misaligned with the world around you. There is there is a certain amount of data, not proper data, but there is a certain amount of data which shows during summer solstice, people become unnecessarily exuberant, during winter solstice, they become unnecessarily depressed. Because the shift is happening and you're not making the shift, you may suffer that for 2 to 3 weeks or more, depending on who you are. So yogis always make little adjustment, little tuning. If you're doing practices, it will adjust by itself. So, Adi Yogi, I must say something about him. He came from somewhere, he did not introduce himself, so nobody knew his name, who he is, where he comes from. But he just came and sat, unmoving, still. People were wondering whether he's alive or dead. But once in a way, tears of ecstasy were flowing down his cheeks. That was the only sign of aliveness. Even breath didn't seem to be happening. So initially crowd gathered that he's going to do some magic. He did nothing, people all left. Only 7 people hung on, who were hardcore people, who realized something is happening here. What is happening? He sat there for months without need for food, water or any toilet requirements or anything. Simply he sat. They realized he seems to have touched a dimension which is beyond his physicality. So they waited. Once in a way he got up and wildly danced, and again he sat down. So after long period of time, when this one solstice came, or that solstice happened to be a full moon night, so on the solstice day he turned south. He was sitting facing some other direction, he turned south and sat down. Because of that, for that position or that posture, Adi Yogi is referred to as Dakshinamurti, that means one who turned south. Because the sun turned south, he turned south. At that time he opened his eyes and looked around, then these 7 people begged. And on that day, the first guru was born. He decided to transmit yoga to these first 7 people. So that is how yoga started. It's fantastic that the UN International Day of Yoga recognized this and made 21st of June, the solstice day, as the International Yoga Day. That's remarkable.
Beautiful, thank you.